Okay, now I'm going to add still one more layer, and it's going to go on video 4, and it's actually going to be the same document again, and you'll see why I'm going to do this. If you look on this document, there's a signature on here, and what I want to do is capture that signature and highlight it. If you're curious, Levi Johnston was the son-in-law of Sarah Palin, who was the vice presidential candidate for John McCain in 2008, and Sarah Palin's son-in-law, Levi Johnston, filed to run for mayor of Wasilla, Alaska in 2011. He ended up dropping out of the race before the election, but that's what this is about. It was a big news story. We didn't have a lot of video to support it, so we created an animation like this, and I'm just showing you how we went through this process. So what I want to do is have this come up, and then I'm going to highlight his signature even more. So let me let this animation resolve. We'll let it sit for a couple seconds. 1, 2. We're going to add one more layer. So I'm going to bring this document up here again. And the first thing you'll notice is if I go over it, it's tiny. And it's because that's the original size of the document. If you recall this one on layer 3, we zoomed in on with an animation. It's an easy fix. If I click on this layer, it brings up the settings over here from my animation. And all I have to do is match 960, 540, and the size is 245. I don't have to worry about rotation because it ended up flat. So it's at 0 degrees or 360 degrees, same thing. What I need to adjust is this scale. And the reason is I'll show you. If I click on this one, you'll see 960, 540, 0 degrees rotation, but it's 100. So if I just click here and make it 245, it's going to match the other one, and you'll never see the difference. So if you see, I'm scrolling from layer 3 to layer 4, and you can't see any difference up here because I've just cribbed the numbers off of layer 3, and I've applied them to layer 4. I hope that makes sense, but you can back up and rewatch. It's the same document. I just want it to be the same location and size. I can click on layer 3 and steal those numbers and just apply them to layer 4. Now, what I want to do with this document is a little different. I want to highlight just this name. And so what I can do is crop. There's a crop tool built into Video Effects. So what I want to do is crop this, and one of the options over here in Video Effects is crop. And if I go to Video Effects and Transform, one of the options is crop. And what I'm going to do with crop and any of these effects for audio or video, you work the same way. You find the item over here. I'm going to grab crop, and I'm going to drag it onto this video piece that I want to crop. So I'm just going to grab the word crop here and drag it onto this item, and you'll see over here some crop options appear under effects. They automatically pop up here after you drag crop onto this video clip. Now there's a problem. I can crop this right now, but you won't see it. And the reason is right underneath this document is an identical document. And so if I crop the top one, all you'll see is video layer 3, the same document. You won't be able to notice the crop. So I'll demonstrate it here. Let me click on this one. I'm going to crop the right side in a bit. I'm just going to click and drag here, and you won't see anything here because you're seeing the document underneath it, which is identical. There's an easy fix for that. Over here on the timeline to the left, you'll see toggle track output, this little eyeball. If I click this eyeball icon on video layer 3, it hides layer 3. And now you'll see where I've cropped layer 4. I just turned off layer 3. I can turn it right back on. I'm just going to turn it off for a second just for visual reference. And so I turned off layer 3 with that eyeball, and now I'm going to crop layer 4. So let me click layer 4. I get my crop options back. I'm going to crop in around that name. And again, I can click and slide, or I can type in values if I need to. At this point, I'm going to try to get it close this way. And bottom, bring the bottom up a little bit. And I'll bring in the left just a hair, and we'll get cropped in around the name. Now there's a cool thing I can do. I've cropped in around his name, but it's kind of a hard edge, and I wish it was a soft edge just for fun. Let me blank the map too. I'm going to go over here and toggle the eyeball on video level 2 also. We're just isolating that name. And again, if I click these eyeballs, the layer comes right back. So just for reference, I've got this. I want to show you something cool that's built into crop, which is, if I scroll down a little bit, edge feather. Edge feather blurs the edges like an airbrush. So let me just click and drag there a little bit, and we'll see if I can get the edge feather the way I like it. We can feather it out a little bit, and then I can crop in a little more to get closer to the name. So see if I can do this. Oops, a little much. We'll do the bottom just a bit. And that's fine. I've got the name kind of isolated there. So now what I want to do is I can, well, I'll leave it like this for purposes of the animation. So I've got this, it appears, we won't really notice it appearing. It can pop on and that's fine. But what I'm going to want to do is animate this too, because I want that name to get bigger and sort of go to the center of the screen. So I want it to get bigger and fill this center space of the screen. So I'm going to go to the first frame of this one again. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to hit keyframes. So let me go over here. All I want now is scale and position. So I'm going to scroll up. I've got position and scale open. Let me click those clocks, which turns on keyframes. Now I have keyframes on this item, which is selected. See the white highlight around it? This one's selected. I'm on the first frame of that item. I go over here and click the clocks to turn them blue. I've got keyframes appearing on this timeline. Now I can come over here and hit play for a couple seconds. And that's about right. That's how fast I want this to sort of zoom up over the screen. I'm going to put in 2 more keyframes. So back over here, I'm going to click keyframes here and here. Make those blue. And now I can reposition this. So let me make it bigger. And I'm going to move it to the right, which is this 961, this x-axis. And now I'll have to do one more thing. Let me zoom out over here. I'm going to turn these layers back on, and you'll see the other thing I need to do in a sec. Let me let this play. You will see the document fly out of Anchorage. You'll see the name zoom up out of that document. But it's a little hard to read because it's over that document. So what I'm going to do is at the same time that zooms out, I'm going to fade this document a little bit and fade this map a little bit. Again, back to the pen tool. So I'll put a couple of dots here and we'll sort of gently fade the map. And then what I may need to do is I may need to fade the background video. I'll fade that document. I may need to fade that map a little bit too. And the background video also a little bit more too. Just for grins, let's take a look and we'll see how our name looks. That's not bad actually. You can kind of see that. But that document is still a little prominent, so let me fade it a little bit more. I can fade the map a little bit more, just again dragging those dots down. And now you can really see that name. So that's actually not bad. So let me zoom out on the timeline. What I want to do is kind of have all this stuff line up with the resumption of my video. So let's go over here and have it all sort of land there. Let me go back and play it again. The video freezes. There's the map. Our document will sort of fly and twirl out of Anchorage. Then that will darken and the signature will fly up out of it. And then we want to let that sit for a second. And then all of that needs to just kind of fade back into the video. So what I'm going to do is right here, do a couple of things. I'm going to fade all of these items back up to full raster video. So let me go to just the pen tool, and I'm just going to, actually, I want them to go away. So I'm going to put pen tools here and fade that out all the way. I'm going to put a couple of dots here and fade that out all the way. And then I'm going to put a pen tool here and line it up with that freeze frame, and then fade that back up. And what you'll see is I've got to put one up here too. Hang on. Let me zoom in just a bit on this video timeline because I've got to put 2 dots on this top document also. I just didn't see the video line there. So now what will happen is the top signature will fade out, the document will fade out, the map will fade out, and our video will fade back up as it rolls. So let's see how it ends. Let me save it and play it. Fingers crossed, they all fade out and our video plays. So here we go, the finished animation. Let me go back to the beginning, and here's what we made. There's the map, Here comes our document. Here comes our signature. It stays for a couple of seconds, and then all of that fades away, and the video plays and fades up, and off we go. So we're right back where we started. So anyway, that's what it looks like on a timeline with multiple layers. That's how you sort of fade things, animate things using keyframes. It's a little tricky, but just practice it with something simple, and you'll get used to it. It's actually a lot of fun.